Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie, and I'm here with my husband Jim. And we are actually one day late on our podcast, but we are still sitting here in our living area talking about artificial intelligence on this Monday evening.
As the wedding date approaches,
yes,
it's harder for you to make a schedule.
I'm having to be out of town a little more often on Sundays, so I actually took the day off from my day job today and just got in late this afternoon. So let's talk about what is in the news when it comes to artificial intelligence. I know that all I've been seeing about on LinkedIn and on all the other social medias is about Sora.
If you're in the AI world right now, there is no other news. At least it feels like
okay, so
not.
Just recently, it's been like drinking from a fire hose. It's ridiculous how much new stuff was released in the last week.
Yeah, that's kind of what all the AI, the YouTubers and the stuff that I follow, that's what they've all been talking about. They said, it was almost getting mundane for a while there, and now it went completely crazy. OpenAI's Sora is the big news. Not many people have actually got to play with it.
That's what I'm a little concerned about.
Well, I mean, if it's as good as it shows, they've got all these sample videos that they've uploaded, but those sample videos were created by OpenAI.
Right.
And after Google's little fiasco with their demo, you got to have a little healthy dose of skepticism in terms
of,
okay,
we see the samples, but how were the samples made? Who made the samples?
If Sora is as good as they claim, first of all, what is Sora? Sora is a text to video generator.
Okay.
And what's cool about it is that the quality of the video that it can generate is remarkable. I saw one video, and it was kind of, the guy that analyzed it did a really good job of the subtleties, but it was a puppy looking out a window, and the puppy's looking around, and kind of barking. Well, people are walking by, and which means they block the puppy for a second, and then they keep on, and it didn't lose the context. So the puppies look like that it was still there, even though someone had blocked its view. Stuff like that is really, really hard to do.
Speaking of puppies, ours is trying to get a toy. And so you're going to hear it because it's like really trying to figure that out. There it goes.
Anyway, to continue.
So the one I saw that I thought was interesting was they took like a regular video, a video that was the actual video of a car that was going down a road. And then they put it in and they asked it to make the car be driving through a forest, or make it be driving through a jungle, or make it be driving as a car in a game that was pixelated, or so they took an actual video and they were using it for editing. I saw it on LinkedIn.
I don't think I'm not sure it can edit videos.
I saw it on LinkedIn.
Somebody might have been, you'd have to look on their site. My impression was that it can generate videos, but it can't edit videos. It can edit its own video, maybe. I don't know.
I saw a post on LinkedIn, and I guess it
might
really
be able to. I guess you think about it, like Midjourney.
Well, you're just giving it a prompt.
Like Midjourney, you can use a visual prompt for Midjourney, right?
So we're going to have to look that up.
We'll have to look that up.
Okay.
The next big story is Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is Google.
Now, who has been testing 1.5 Pro?
Well, I've seen some people actually that had access to it, some YouTubers that I actually think would not make stuff up. The big thing about 1.5 Pro is not whether or not it's better, even though I've heard that it is. The big thing is it's got a 1 million token window. What does that mean? Well, if you look at when I originally started playing with ChatGPT, the window size was 4,000 tokens, and then it was 16, then it was 32. Well, then Claude came along; it was 100,000. Well, not to be outdone, OpenAI came out and said, "Okay, we're going to do 128,000 tokens." Then there's 200,000, which is Claude 2.1.
So now we're at 1 million.
What does that mean? Well, in the case, it usually means 4 tokens will roughly get you a word.
Okay.
So you can get, I think that's the number, but 1 million tokens is like 750,000 words.
So that's over the course of how long?
That's a single prompt.
So a single prompt.
Well, prompt and response. So it counts for both.
Okay.
But we're getting to the point now they're saying where you could almost upload a Harry Potter book into it in terms of the number of words.
So my question is, what about the middle?
I asked the same question. One of the YouTubers that was talking about it, I actually posted that question. My question to him was, there was a middle problem before
Yes.
where it did a
If,
really
if
good
you
job at the
had
beginning.
it ingest data, it really understood what was at the beginning of the data. It understood what was at the end of the data.
Right.
But it's like it lost the
middle.
stuff that was located in
And
the
of
middle.
course, in your case, what you mean by
A
ingest
table.
is that I'm uploading something
Right.
to use as
To
context.
train.
Yeah, it's like a one-shot training, and I'm using it for context. And I saw it with ChatGPT 4 whenever they went to 128,000 tokens. It really didn't do as well on some of that middle data. The guy that I posted it to said that one of the things that Google is claiming is that they've improved that as well.
Okay.
And he said it seems like it has. Now, I don't know anybody. This guy actually did. It analyzed a video, which was really good. It analyzed the video. It was a silent movie, which was even cooler. And it would describe the frame by frame scenes in the silent movie.
That is cool.
Well, it took the movie. The little clip he put in there was 500,000 tokens for it to analyze that.
Okay.
So just to give you a rough idea, I mean, it wasn't an entire like 1 hour movie kind of thing. But if you think about it, that's pretty interesting. They say it can analyze like 30,000 lines of code. So anyway,
we shall see.
I thought that was pretty cool, and so did the entire world.
Yes.
This I thought was interesting. I'll let you read this one headline.
Disrupting malicious uses of AI by state-affiliated threat actors.
Welcome to the new world. And basically, as I understood this, you had threat actors in China, Iran, North Korea, might have been a Russia thrown in there. They're basically using OpenAI accounts and using it to generate data to, whether it's a cybersecurity threat, whether it's a false data to kind of throw things in a stir up things. They're using it for different things. My impression was they were actually trying to generate finding coding errors. They're trying to find ways to make code kind of crash code and things like that.
Okay.
I didn't read all of this, but I thought it was interesting because welcome to the new world.
Yes.
And Microsoft and ChatGPT, OpenAI, and a couple others, they thwarted this. But as we're going to talk about in just a minute, you can thwart that by them not letting you use these huge models. There's a lot of open source models out there.
Yes.
And they're not as big and they're not as sophisticated.
They don't need them to be that
big. But maybe they don't need to be. Maybe that's the question.
Correct. Okay. What else? What else you got? Robo.
Again, welcome to the future. You and I talk a lot, and this is kind of...
Oh, I saw this too.
This is kind of one of those things that you and I talk about a lot. I even talked to the director of our special education department at the school district the other day about the different options that are out there, like the glasses that can describe what's in front of them.
Yes. And
so I'm really, really interested in especially things that can help the elderly, but people that have physical impairments, eyes, whatever, they can't see, they can't hear, they can't walk as well. Obviously,
people with disabilities,
some form, and there's so many different types, and that's the problem. Is how can you ever afford to manufacture something that can help? What if they have multiple disabilities? Like we think about our elderly parents. Think about our elderly parents. They can't walk very well. They can't hear. We've tried putting like Alexa over there for them to have at their house, but they can't understand it, and it talks too fast, and it. So I think, yes, I just noted our Alexa got excited.
Yes, it did. And you just said its name.
I just said its name.
You need to stop that. It's listening.
Anyway, I thought.
Always listening.
Did you read the headline?
Robo Guide Robot Dog uses AI to assist the visually impaired.
We're not trying to put guide dogs out of business.
No.
But there are some advantages to having a robotic thing.
Well, what if you live in an apartment that doesn't... I don't know. I guess maybe the ADA says that you have to allow for guide dogs.
I hate to say it, and I love dogs, and I think guide dogs are much better than most things you can get. But some of the decisions you have to make, especially in busy city streets and stuff, there's having an AI that can analyze what's in front of you could be a good thing. So anyway, I'm taking up too much time. I know.
Yes, you are.
I thought this was interesting, and it kind of leads to the next one. So I'll let you read the headline, and then we'll talk about it.
Reddit user content sold for $60 million per year to an AI company for model training. Now, we were talking about the floor and the ceiling, whenever this first started. we've talked about it numerous times.
Yes.
AIs, when they first came out and they started quote unquote scraping the web or training off of information that was on the web, no one was asking anyone
Because
about
Google's been selling information forever.
right. And there's information out there. People post information for free all the time.
Yes.
And so it was using all of this information to train, and it was getting it all for free. And then all of a
everybody got
sudden
all
went,
indignant.
wait a second. You know, just because I pressed the publish button and did it for free, I now want you to pay me for my data or my information or my story or whatever. And so there was someone who it was $20 million.
Yeah, that was a publishing company.
It was a publishing company that charged $20 million.
Google paid it.
And Google paid it. Well, now
It's
they're
up to
saying
60.
that Reddit, who we all know Reddit is very popular and people get onto Reddit all the time.
Yes.
And publish and post things on Reddit all the time.
Yes.
60 million?
You know what's funny about this is how indignant Reddit got about people using their data. They literally they do not compensate people that post on Reddit. All the information that you post on Reddit, you post for free. So the people that are content
you even
moderators,
subscribe to it so you can read other content.
All that stuff. So I understand they got to make a living, you know, and they got to run servers, and that all costs money. It's just funny how indignant they got about it. It's like
60 million.
How dare you use our data? That's our data to sell. Well,
60 million is a pretty good living.
Well, you know what? But everybody's starting to look at this and go, "Hey, wait a minute! I'm a popular Reddit thread that I'm the moderator of. Why aren't you compensating me?"
Yeah.
So these silos are getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
The information that AI is going to be trained on is going to be crap information
if you're not careful.
Because
well, that's funny you mentioned that, because there's the thing that we're about to follow up to do. But I had a discussion with someone today about synthetic data.
Okay.
And I made a comment.
Synthetic data is data that's not
synthetic data.
100%.
Well, no. Think about it for a second.
It's synthesized data.
Think about it for a second. You take these AIs that know all this stuff. They know all this stuff because they used human data to be trained. Well, then you say, well, I don't need the human data anymore because I can ask it questions that it can then generate more data.
New data. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm concerned about that. And the comment I made is there's a reason why you don't.
No,
I'm not making that comment. I'm not
don't
making
make
that
that comment.
There's a reason why you don't have kids with your cousin. The data, you have a data corruption problem over time if you're not careful.
Yes.
It's like the DNA that you can pass on. You can double up on problems, that start
chromosomal issues. And
yes. Well, it's the same. I'm kind of concerned about this idea that an AI is going to generate data to train an AI.
I would be
a lot of the reason I think they're doing it, they're saying they're doing it because they can get cleaner data, and maybe that's true. I think they're doing it because of all these silos. They don't want to pay $60 million a year.
Yeah,
so I told you the silos are getting deeper, which leads us to our last story.
NVIDIA's new tool lets you run Gen AI models on a PC. We've been talking about this.
Because I'm doing it.
The NVIDIA stuff is expensive.
Well, they're getting cheaper, but we said that 2024 is going to be the year of hardware.
Yes.
Neural processing units, cheaper, less expensive, GPUs, pick one. And I think that people, just like Reddit decided, they got all indignant because all that free stuff people give them, somebody was getting without paying them for it. Well, now I think the silo is going to go one layer down. Hey, I have data. Why should I put it on your website or put it on, let you have your cloud version of it so you can then sell it to the AI company to train on it? Why don't I keep my data completely local? And, we're doing it at the school. Remember the first version of Agnes? Agnes has been out. That's our internal AI we use at the school that you and I developed. Mm-hmm. That was something we did because we were using OpenAI.
And then you broke it.
I did break it recently pretty badly, but
back up in a week.
It'll be back up in a few days, but I'm changing it over to run it completely local because the new models are good enough that I think they're good enough for what we need. And I don't need a trillion parameter, GPT-4 to answer questions about dress code and whose extension is what, that kind of thing. So I've got a 7 billion parameter model. But again, as a bigger picture thing, you look at it and go, is everybody going to think everything that they do now is so valuable they should get compensated for everything that comes out of their mouth?
Yeah.
Everything they write, everything they publish. We all love Google, and the internet is what it is because of all that information. I realize Google makes it probably too much money on it. I get that.
Still,
But at some point, if we stop having the free flow of information, the internet loses its value.
absolutely. And then
And
all the information that's out there is just
and what's getting out
not
there
good.
is synthetic
Not
trash.
good. Not good information. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
I agree.
okay, that's our news headlines.
Yes. So a couple of things. First of all, we had a question that was asked to us about some TCEA stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the question was, I was surprised. And it goes back to the lady on the train.
It does, which you wrote. You and I wrote an article about, but you wrote most of it. I just edited it.
The lady on the train didn't even know what AI was.
Yet she sat through 3 sessions.
And she still didn't really know what AI was because she said they actually skipped like the history of AI and then what the AI models are, what types of AIs are there. That is something that we used to cover in our trainings. And we had actually
even covered it a little bit.
We covered it a little bit. We decided to kind of stop training, stop talking about it as much. But then now I'm sitting here going,
we just gave it a smaller time slice. Correct. Because it was taking up a lot of time.
So the question we only have 15 minutes. Real quick, we have less than 15 minutes.
No, I mean in our trainings we only have 15.
We have less than 15 minutes on the podcast.
Okay.
So, can you give me the history of AI
in 15 minutes?
No, let's do it in 5. Actually, less than that. Give me the history of AI. I know 1951 is the first
officially.
AI.
There's a lot of disagreement about the first official AI program. The history is fairly simple at a high level.
Give it to me high level.
They in the early 50s, late 40s, there was a lot of research done. It was mostly by theoretical mathematicians, things like that. But the first AI program was created. AI is a great thing, but the one thing it has to have is a lot of data. So there's this massive gap. Every decade after that, they kept talking about the decade of AI. Mm-hmm. And it was all these different new machine learning models that were coming up. The problem with all these models and all these ideas is they didn't have enough data.
Correct.
1993, what happens?
World
Wide Web. The internet's been around. What most people don't realize is the internet has been around since the 60s.
Well, it was what we now people refer to as the dark web.
Well,
I mean, when it was around originally, you got to the information because you knew.
Yeah, well, we had things called Gopher. We had FTP sites. We had Gopher sites. We had tools to get to them. I got on the internet even back. We had ways of chatting with each other using VAX clusters and things like that. I mean, there was all this underlying stuff that we use now was a lot of that was been in place for a long time, which is why people give Al Gore a hard time because he says he invented the internet. He was part of the World Wide Web,
the index,
the things that came along. Well, just the World Wide Web. The internet has been around for a long time. 1993. The World Wide Web, first web browsers. We've talked about that before. I come home all excited because I'd been on the very first website and I wanted to show it to you. And you get the satellite photo and it was dark outside. Mm-hmm. Anyway, 93, then of course that was, well, like you said, islands of data. They weren't connected together. And then along came Google and Yahoo. Yahoo came first, I think.
Yes.
I've had Yahoo since like 1998 or 99 when it first came out. But the point is they indexed it all, which is the web we have today.
Yes.
So AI started developing very quickly
because it had access
because
to
now it had a bunch of data that it could use. But there was still a lot of issues with the machine learning models. But the big thing the World Wide Web did that made AI possible, besides all that data, was it started driving down the cost of hardware. And ever since the PCs started, but we really accelerated with the web, the cost of processors and the horsepower they could put out, it's inversely proportional. Mm-hmm. The cost went down and the horsepower went up, and which is great. They needed that. Mid 2015 Transformer paper, which is a Google paper, which is the Transformer model, is the machine learning model. Machine learning is a subset of AI. AI is a kind of an umbrella. Machine learning is a technique. I think you said this once in one of our discussions. Machine learning is the technique you use. AI is the way you access it, if you want to think of it that way. It's overly simplistic, but it gets the picture. AI is kind of the UI, the user interface, the how you interact with the machine learning models. Anyway, they came out with the Transformer paper. 2017, OpenAI was formed, and to keep Google from owning the AI world. And the first large language model that the public had access to was GPT
In
3,
2020?
which came out in 20. Well, officially everybody saw it in 2020. It came out in 2020, but everybody didn't see it till like 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Think
could
COVID slowed it down?
maybe, but you could get pilot access to it. I got some really, really early access to it. We talked to a guy once. That one guy we talked to at we were in Stephenville, I think. We were doing a training for a school district, and he said he was one of the early people that got pilot access to it before the general public. Anyway, keep moving forward. ChatGPT, OpenAI. Now there's a gazillion of them out there.
Yes. So, what are the gazillion? I don't want to know all the gazillions, and we talk about the big boys, as we like to call them. Types of AIs.
Okay, what's my clock? What's my time?
You still have 10 minutes, but
okay,
I have something else I want to tell everybody about, so you got to hurry it up. So there is ChatGPT, which is OpenAI.
It is OpenAI. You access it in two ways. ChatGPT is the way you can access it just as a chatbot. But if you want to make your own, like when we did with Agnes, we used what's called an API, which is basically I talk to the same model as ChatGPT does in the back end. So if you're building your own, the first ones that people start building their own chatbots, we're usually using OpenAI's API, but you have to pay for the tokens to do that.
Then there's Bard is no longer Bard.
It's Gemini now.
It is now Gemini.
Yeah, they officially got rid of it.
But that is Google's.
Google has had their first model was called Palm 2. They had another model before that. I can't think of what it was. And now they've got Gemini Nano, Pro, and Ultra, and then the 1.5 that I mentioned. Basically, they're planning on putting it on phones with Nano. They're giving you access to their mid-range model for free, which is what was Bard, which is now the Gemini chatbot. And then the Ultra is going to be their paid-for version.
Okay.
And it's actually gotten a lot better. Gemini is better than it. I still think GPT-4, especially Vision, is better.
Okay.
And then with ChatGPT, you have premium versus free.
I have a premium account now.
You do.
I was so excited.
You were.
I finally said, Jim, I'm tired of asking you. Are you talking on the Oracle? Okay, so we work together. You guys who haven't heard us before, we work together. We 6 feet apart, and I would need to ask a question to the AI, and I would always say, Jim, are you on the Oracle right now? And you would say yes or no, and then I would get onto your account because I just had a question or two. Well, finally, I got tired of sharing. So, but I'm not giving up any more coffee.
You didn't give up any coffee to start with. That story is so false. You've been saying it ever since we started. You've never given up a single cup of coffee for me to have the premium version.
Oh, well,
I've had the premium version for a really long time.
So anyway, I have the $20 version now, and I'm very excited about that.
So
there's also other things that you use.
I use ChatGPT the most.
Yes.
The premium version. I use Bard some. There's Copilot.
Gemini,
sorry. There's Copilot, which is Microsoft's. First, it came out with Bing. You can actually get a separate app on your phone now. I've got it on my phone. It uses OpenAI in the back end, but it's different because it's Microsoft's got guardrails. I still don't think it's as good as ChatGPT 4, even though they claim they're using ChatGPT 4 in the back end.
Okay.
I've started using Perplexity, which is it's based originally, I don't know if they're still doing that, but it's based originally on a fine-tuned version of 3.5, the OpenAI 3.5.
Didn't Poe ask you the other day where you've been?
No, that's Pi.
Pi
is the therapy bot chat kind of thing. I don't know where they're going with Pi, but it's very conversational, and I loaded the app on my phone. It did it again today. It pops up and goes, Jim, we haven't talked in a while.
So let's talk about conversational. So over the weekend, I had a reason to get the app on my phone, which I have it on my phone, and I pulled it up, and I wanted to ask some guidance on something.
Yes.
And when I asked for the guidance, and it came back with some really good answers, I said thank you, because I wanted to remember that I am friendly, whatever it takes over the world. So I said thank you. And it came back and said, you're welcome, yada, yada, yada. My thoughts are with you.
Yeah, because it was kind of a personal question. My thoughts are with you.
I screenshotted it and I texted it to you.
You did.
And I said, this is really weird.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
AIs don't think.
Well,
or do they?
Pi pops up and goes, Jim, we have on my phone. It pops up and I couldn't figure out how. I didn't realize it was messaging me from the app itself. I thought maybe it had texted me or sent me an email or whatever. It's popped up on my on my lock screen on my iPhone, and it said, Hey, Jim, we haven't talked in a while. So,
It's,
anyway, Perplexity is good for searching the web.
yes.
If you're going to do any kind of like video analysis and stuff, Gemini has been very good. If you're going to upload files and you want to do GPTs and all that other stuff, ChatGPT Premium is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've made some of my own GPTs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use Claude very much anymore because I've found it to be very limiting. Even though they claim you can upload like up to a 5 meg file, for example. I tried to upload a 2 meg file the other day. It told me I'd exceeded my limit. So I used to not have those problems with Claude. I have them all the time now. So I don't really use Claude much anymore. Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, Bing, or Copilot.
Sounds good. So I think that you've answered those questions.
I
so,
have. That was the fastest history thing I've ever done. It was pretty. It wasn't my greatest.
It wasn't tough on you.
Wasn't my greatest one. I really like to spend some time on the details.
I think the main thing is that it's been around for a really long time.
Needs data, needs CPU, needs lots of memory. We're going to write an article pretty soon because I've been doing some testing on running those models locally.
Okay.
And the importance of memory and processor, and we're going to do an article, a Medium article about that. We have because I found some really interesting results.
Good. Sounds good. Yeah, we've been doing quite a few Medium articles recently. It's under your account,
and you're not giving up coffee for me to have it.
No, and I thought about opening my own account, but I think that we write better together.
We always write together.
Yeah.
And if we start writing separately, it's not going to be as good. If you write it, I edit. If I write it, you edit.
Yes.
And you edit mine a whole lot more than I edit yours because you're meaner as an editor, not because I'm a terrible
I am
writer.
not mean.
As an editor, you're kind of mean.
I guess that's what happens whenever you're taught English for a while.
Yes, I noticed that. I'm surprised you don't print it out, put little red -5s around it and stuff like that.
I've thought about it.
I bet you have.
So we are done for this evening.
Okay.
We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you guys have a marvelous rest of the week and hope you listen again next week
and
to
read our Medium
AI
articles.
in Action. Read our Medium articles. They're actually, I put them on LinkedIn and I've picked up a lot of LinkedIn followers and got a lot of good comments on some of them. Nice. And so I'm really enjoying sharing information.
I do too.
All right, everyone have a really good evening.